Okay, let me introduce another gentleman, a well-known face. Paul Adom-Otchere is the host of Good Evening Ghana, an experienced journalist, and also an author. Paul, good evening and welcome.
Thank you very much, Francisca. It's always a pleasure to be here.
And thanks for the copy, Africa's New Constitutional Leadership, 77 Stories That Defined Ghana's Fourth Republic. Thank you.
Yeah. That's my old book.
Well,
but I gave you a copy because the NPP, what the NPP have done today, looks like they have kept with history. And some of that history, especially in the 1998 contest, is shared in the book. The first time that the NPP had this kind of situation, the tradition had a situation where there seems to be a conservative candidate and then there's a great challenge based on the fact that this conservative candidate is either part of the old story or that he cannot win as the election. We need a more vibrant person to win the election. The first time this ever happened was in 1969. There was a man called Adom-Otchere who decided that he and a few friends of his and young people thought that Professor Buzia belonged to the old Dankwa system. If we are going to go to politics again, we lost the elections to Nkrumah all the time. Buzia is not the one to win the election. So Adom-Otchere rose up. And in his case, he didn't get onto the internal ballot. So confusion came and he left and formed his own party. That was the first time it happened. The next time it happened was in 79. In 79, the conversation was that between Victor Owusu and William Ofori-Atta, that William Ofori-Atta was old. He was part of the old order. He was part of the Dankwa order. This is a new situation. We won elections with these old people and the coup came because they were not agile and all of that. And that was successful. Owusu won the contest. He was with the young people and we need to change our party and all of that. Some of the conservatives in the party felt that this was very dangerous. And so they got Power to form a new party. And then the rest is history. 92, then came 96. 96 was the watershed moment. It was felt that there has to be a new direction to the party. And that new direction to the party in 1996 had been generated by Kwame Pienim's campaign. And I captured that in the book from 96. Kwame Pienim had launched a campaign where he was showing all the negatives of the NPP, the conservative negatives. They are not strong on the ground, they don't mobilize people well, the youth don't like them, they are too old, they are book long, and all of that. And Kwame Pienim's campaign was gathering a lot of steam. Somehow, Pienim didn't get on the ballot as a result of a court ruling. Then came in Kufuor. The big question, the big one which has been replicated today is 1998. 1998 is exactly what has happened today. And what happens from today, if it can replicate what happened in 1998, then the NPP has a good chance. And I hope that the NPP will pick from that leaf. And I'm going to tell you what happened. So Akufo-Addo came up as a young man known in the party, agile, radical, and was ready to overthrow the conservatives. And the concern was that Kufuor is dull, he will not be able to win the election. And again, the NDC became very wary of Akufo-Addo's campaign. They were very worried about it. And rumors are that the NDC supported the Kufuor campaign because they were quite afraid of Akufo-Addo at the election where Rawlings is not running and they have to choose a new candidate and Akufo-Addo is coming in. They seemed quite worried and they preferred a Kufuor candidate, same as today. And so Kufuor won. And the NDC's immediate reaction when Kufuor won was that they are going to win the 2000 elections. I mean, agents of Mrs. Rawlings started writing about, oh, the NPP has given it to them. They've elected Kufuor. It's been, 1 hour, and you can see the NDC sentiments already. They are excited that Bawumia has won. They know how to beat him. They will beat him again. This was the same in 1998. But then what happened thereafter? So when the NPP left the Congress in 1998, the sentiments were the same as today. Those who thought that they wanted a firebrand to change things, and they felt a bit disappointed. But sometime after the thing, 6 months down the line, I was in Akufo-Addo's office in Adabraka as a lawyer, where he addressed Kwabena Acheampong and his supporters and said that, look, if we don't go and support Kufuor, we can't win this election. If the NDC wins the election, they would have won 3 elections. So whatever it is, let's get down there and support Kufuor and make sure we win this election. He was the loser. He put his people together. And then the campaign began to take shape. And then suddenly the Kufuor campaign of 2000, with Kufuor, they call him the gentle giant, who was a conservative. His campaign was completely radicalized because the radicals took over the campaign. And it's completely radicalized. So if you watch the 2000 campaign, which I capture in the book, the NPP campaign was the more radical one because it was led by Akufo-Addo and his team, Victor Newman, Stanley Adri Blankson, Nyahuta Maklo. These were the radicals. And they lost the election to Kufuor, but they decided that, look, we need to support Kufuor to win this election. So the story is told that eventually Kufuor won. Now, let me hold that story and come back. So if the NPP going out from today would have to come together and win, they'll have to follow that lead. The most important people are going to be Kennedy Acheampong and Bryan Acheampong. How the two of them convince their teams to come together, but also how the Bawumia victors manage the reconciliation. And I think what must happen is that they have to drill down to the numbers and decide that Charles Forson supported Kennedy Acheampong, and he's disappointed. He's a member of parliament. Who knows Charles Forson? Richard Sky knows Charles Forson. Okay, Richard Sky, can you start working on Charles Forson? This must come from the Bawumia victors. Can you start working on Charles Forson? Who knows Sticker? Paul Adom-Otchere knows Sticker. Paul, can you talk to Sticker? At the top level, Mahamadou Bawumia is talking to Kennedy Acheampong. Mahamadou Bawumia is talking to Bryan Acheampong. Nana Akufo-Addo and all of them are there. They can put that together. But then they must identify specific people, specific actors, part of the radical group, and have people reach out to them one-on-one. It's not going to be the same election of 2024, 2028. The NDC is the focus right now. The NDC is the party in office. I have realized in Ghanaian politics that it is almost a zero-sum game. If you are pointing to the voters how bad the opposition is, you shouldn't even do it. It's useless. It doesn't work. We talked about the alternative is scary and the alternative is that, which was data-based, data-driven. That look at John Mahama, look at his time in government, look at it, all of that was there. But we have found out that in elections, people don't worry about the opposition. So you, the government, you have to deliver, and it's easy for the opposition to campaign, and the NDC is finding that out. If you look at the NDC communication, they are beginning to find that defending government is more difficult than just shouting that somebody has done something wrong. So a lot of them have petered away. A lot of the NDC communication people you see, including even those abroad, they've all petered away. Where is the defense of the government policy? They are not able to do it because it's not simple. It's not a simple matter to take a government policy to explain as a communication. It's very difficult. As for opposition, you can just say that he's a thief or he stole the money, and everybody's listening to you. So what's the summary of this is that the NPP have stayed conservative, but if the NPP wants to win, they will have to go back to the leaves of 1998, and especially Akufo-Addo is still alive. What were his sentiments after 98, and how did he get himself into the campaign to develop such a successful campaign in 2000? I've heard Kennedy Acheampong speak an hour ago or so. I get the sense that the sentiments are right. If it's a fair speech, and the sentiments seem right, and he's also determined to have the NPP win the next election because he mentioned that. So
Paul, I want to come in a bit.
Let me just give you, getting it
some
good
data.
Authority that Kennedy Acheampong just spoke with the Dr. Bawumia on phone. They had a hearty chat, and in that conversation, he conceded defeat to Dr. Bawumia and promised and pledged that he will be working with him to be able to secure victory for the party in the 2028 elections, and that's just coming up.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks for
that's
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So I think
So the concession has come.
Yes.
So they are sort of done for the night.
On the line.
So they are heading towards the center.
Yeah. So now I think what must happen is Bawumia must rein in his people who might have felt offended by some of the utterances and conduct of the Ken
Okay,
team.
just because Paul just
Okay.
came, I want to just get his impression so far. Paul, before you got in, we discussed a number of things. We looked at the expectations. Many don't feel surprised with Bawumia's lead and what will be his eventual announcement as the winner, and what they call the surprise factor being Bryan Acheampong and perhaps disappointing Kennedy Acheampong. What's your take?
I'm not surprised at all about Bryan Acheampong. I'm not, because I followed his campaign. I traveled to Abetifi to sit with him on a Sunday. He asked me to come and sit, and on that Sunday I was there for about 6 hours. I saw him talking to delegates. In each session he spoke to about 1,000 delegates. Buses bring them from far away. They come into the hotel. He addresses them. They go. Another group comes. They go. Another group comes. Then when he is done, he is now setting off. And he explained to me that he's doing this across the country. So I've always said that, well, we have to wait to see the results, because Bryan has done the work. He has pressed flesh. He has done the density of the campaigns everywhere. If that doesn't matter, then we'll know how the delegates are thinking. If, however, that matters, it also indicates how the delegates are thinking. I'm not surprised at all about the showing he's making. What is surprising, though, is that it was always said that if Bryan were to make 14 to 15% of the vote, which is, I think, where he's getting, then the election will go into a second round. That's what we were told. I've looked at the figures in Central Region, and I'm beginning to think that it was there that Dr. Bawumia was able to pull the first round victory. It was in Central Region, and I'm doing a comparative analysis with 2023 when they met. So you will see that Central Region sort of went for Bawumia, and they decided that, well, Ken is their man. They voted for him all the time, but some places changed. The Northern Region has been very stable, and the other impressive factor was that in Ashanti Region, Dr. Bawumia was winning almost everywhere. And I'm waiting for the Ashanti figures. It was 66 the last time. My people in Ashanti, in particular, Andy also tells me that it may be 70%, and we're waiting to see how that goes. So if Bawumia is winning 70% of the home region of the NPP, that's not too bad. Even if he doesn't get the 60% he got the last time, and he's getting 57 or 58, which is where it looks like we are ending to say praises to Musa Dankwa, who predicted it. We will still be excited that Dr. Bawumia was able to increase his turnout in the home region of the party. That is where you need to mobilize the people. That is why they didn't turn up to vote. They didn't come. So if in that context, within the Ashanti region context, he's increasing his votes, I think that is very, very applaudable, and the NPP should be excited about that. Eastern region also comes. Bryan, again, he was expected to do very well in Eastern region, but he was expected to, in Eastern region, take away from Bawumia significantly. Bryan showed up, but Bawumia also really showed up. Volta region is another place that Kennedy Acheampong was expected to do well, widely. It didn't come as big. Oti region, Mahamadou Bawumia was expected to win, he won. The 5 northern regions expected to win, he won. The other conversations that must start now is where does the national leadership go from here? But this is something novel that the NPP need to work out. It's more difficult than 98, because in 1998, what happened was that the national elections had been held 3 months before the presidential election, because the presidential election was now going to be held 2 years for the first time. Similar to this one, is held 3 years for the first time. So that time, Odoi Sykes had already been elected as chairman. He was chairman of the party before Kufuor emerged. So he was in charge of sort of the one step below the line of reconciliation. This time, the NPP is now going to move into a chairmanship election race. Well, there are some people who are contesting for chairman who have already indicated that they are Kennedy Acheampong's people, or who people believe they are Kennedy Acheampong's people. There are others who people believe they are Bawumia people. I'm going to take it upon myself, and I'm happy to say it in the company of good friends like you, that I'm going to talk to Kwabena Acheampong, he's my very good friend, to ask him that he should run for chairman of the party. I think if we can get a situation like that, we are really getting somewhere. Kwabena has been serving the party for long. He's been an unhappy party servant, but he's been very loyal to the party. In 2020, he came for the campaign. He served Dr. Bawumia. He's been unhappy. Kwabena Acheampong's house is one of the few places I can walk in at 2 a.m. and still expect to be seen. The last time I left his home a few weeks ago, it was 2:20 in the morning. So I'm going to take it upon myself, and I'm calling for people to support me. I don't know whether Sky is going to support. We should get Kwabena Acheampong to run as chairman for the stability's sake, for combining the history and the future. It's very, very important. You have Mahamadou Bawumia as presidential candidate. He was the NPP's last presidential candidate, so now he's a true blue NPP person. But Kwabena Acheampong comes from further away. So it is important to fix somebody like that in the national leadership. I don't know whether I have any views on General Secretary, but I think that for the work that Kodia has done, for the age that he holds, I just think that Kodia should be allowed to go, but I don't know what the party will decide. But in terms of the chairmanship, which is really important for reconciliation, for rebuilding, and Kwabena Acheampong was part of that 1998 team. So it is very critical that he sits in that position as chairman. I will hope that if he can agree with us, and then Dr. Bawumia can use his influence, he should run unopposed as the chairman of the party for the purpose of 2028 election. If after the election NPP wins and he wants to leave the chairmanship,
but there's Afoko and there is.
If Kwabena is coming, Afoko won't come.
Really?
Oh no. If Kwabena is coming, Afoko won't come.
How about Jacko?
How do you know that?
I'm guessing because they were all from the same leaf back in the day and they suffered the same. So one of them can be chairman. And I think that Kwabena's chairmanship will receive less resistance from the establishment as opposed to Afoko's chairmanship. On the simple reason that Afoko went to battle in court with the party. Kwabena could have battled in court. He decided he doesn't want to. So, and Kwabena was invited by the party to be part of 2020's campaign. So he holds very good offices with Akufo-Addo Group. He holds excellence offices with the Kufuor Group. He had been on Bawumia's campaign in 2023, so he had demonstrated loyalty. He is an old, very, very old member of the party. He was there from 92. So if we fix him there as chairman of the party, I think that a lot will flow very nicely under him. Then you come to regional chairmanship. Ashanti is going to be important. I would wish that Chairman Wontumi does not present himself for the chairmanship anymore.
I think he's running for national.
That one too, I'm not sure. But I would wish that Chairman Wontumi, who's a great friend of mine, should not present himself. I think Koka has done enough to become Ashanti regional chairman at this stage. And so we see the bickering is on the NDC side. So the NPP, having elected their leader, must reduce that bickering. Fortunately for them, they've elected a leader who is conciliatory, reconciliation. Dr. Bawumia is the kind who would like to sit in meetings to decide who should go against who. He's that kind of person. So that works. What the good news for the NDC, the NPP, is that whilst the NDC is going to fight, for presidential governments, the most pronounced one being the American one, and maybe the Ghana one globally, no party, ruling party, has changed candidate and won the election since 1998. Like since 1988, the last time was 88. How many years ago is that? 40 something odd years. And that was George Bush, number one. He was vice president to Reagan. And then Reagan, they started from 1980. They won 2 terms to 88. And in 88, the vice president, George Bush, ran the election and he won. And he won against a guy called Dukakis. Since then, no one has changed candidates as a ruling party and won. So we can look at it. Bill Clinton to Al Gore, lost. Even the great Barack Obama to Hillary Clinton, lost. Okay. And in Ghana, we have seen it. Rawlings Mills lost. Akufo-Addo lost. So that can send some hope to the NPP that if the NDC were to win the election, they will be defying one of the major odds of
So you look at internally
governance.
what the NPP can do. How about a party that went into government for 8 years and was voted out? How will they make themselves attractive again to the Ghanaians who sort of lost hope in the NPP?
Well, the Ghanaians lost hope in the NPP, and you can't blame them for it. Every government that ran election, almost every government that ran election in 2023, 2024, after the global crisis, lost. So the NPP took a major hit. A day in politics is a very long time. And so 4 years is an absolutely incredibly long time. A lot can happen in that period. Because President Mahama was defeated with nearly 1 million votes. 4 years later, he was defeated by 500,000 votes. The NDC continues to hold the view that that election was rigged and they didn't lose and they won and all of that within a 4-year period. In 2000, the NDC had taken a major hit. In 2004, Mohamed Mumuni and others had filed the first election petition against the victory of President Kufuor in the 2004 election because Jacob Echebe-Lamte, and I think Sky was with me that night. Yeah. Jacob Echebe-Lamte, as information minister, announced the results at the castle. It wasn't that simple for Kufuor to deliver the second term, even though 2000 had been quite comfortable. It wasn't simple for Akufo-Addo to deliver the second term, even though 2016 had been comfortable. It was difficult for John Mahama to deliver for NDC the second term in 2012, even though they had won in 2000. We remember the court and all of that. So all is not lost for the NPP in terms of getting attractive. Here we are in 2026. Government has started. Okay, Atuforsen has been praised and even almost getting onto the ballot for the NDC because he's done well. I don't write that home because in 2017, Ken Ofori-Atta was nominated by the World Bank as Africa's finance minister, something. In 2018, the same. So if you are in your first year, and again, you can't find what the NDC is doing, but the macro indicators are good. Assuming you write an equation of the macroeconomic indicators and you put in there $100 a barrel for oil today, if that happens today, does the NDC have something to do to make sure that the petrol price stays at single numbers? I'm not sure they do. So really, that's just a fleeting something. It may continue, it may pass. It's not based on policy. It's not based on anything. It's just a fleeting something. We were told that gold was doing very well for us. Over the last 2 days, arguments on social media that some gold has been sold, half of the gold is sold, and it was used. So it's starting. Fifi Kwete gave a press conference recently, and it has all hell is broken loose. From Monday, after the NPP Congress is over, all of us media people are going to be on that because A+ says that Fifi Kwete is low budget Rawlings, and so those things are going to happen. Now, that makes it even worse because he sits with the NDC, and the NDC is not going to query him in Parliament. They're not going to do that. So if they don't do that, then it means that he's speaking the mind of some important person, and these are the things that are going to happen. So with all of these things, If the NPP is able to focus, as I said, pick from the leaf of 1998, what did Nana Akufo-Addo do? Why did he decide that having lost the election, we should still support Kufuor? And they were able to radicalize Kufuor's campaign. What happened? If they can repeat that, then we have a big fight on our hands. I support in the NDC Johnson as Adom-Otchere. I believe that he's going to be the candidate. And I like the way he's going about it. He's going to be chairman first this year, then he will take up the chairman cloak and become... By the time we say all that about Adom-Otchere and Bawumia is focused on his campaign, he gets his running mate ready, it's going to be a big fight in 2028.
I want us to talk about the conduct of the delegates. The criticism over time has been the sophistication of delegates and claims of vote buying. Okay, today, for instance, there were few reports of claims of monies or what you call transportation, people engaging in scuffles here and there over 200 cedi transportation. Sky, let me get your take on that.
Look, I think we've said this, we've spoken about this ad nauseum, that the law is clear. The PNDC law